Hello Monday, what is going on? Well, the weekend is over and hopefully I can make this Monday just a little bit better. I'm David from Comic Book Investments, and in this little video series that we're doing, I'm going to go through different stories and articles, things I normally read on my own, and I figured, well, let's just talk about them. And, this might be a half hour, hour long, me going through different articles, different cool things, that I found pretty interesting and talking about them, and maybe bringing attention to them to you guys that you might not know what's happening. So what is going on? Let us look at this. The first one we got up is we got another kind of a scam. Yes, a scam. I saw this morning and I was looking at it, I'm like, this is weird. This just seems too good to be true. But there wasn't really anything inherently wrong about it. I was just like, this went a little too low. So what am I talking about? All right, this scam looks completely normal, right? I saw this ended, right? This is on eBay. The bidding has ended on this item. I saw it this morning. I was tempted to bid on it because I'm like, well, but then I just, I looked through all the factors. Okay, here we go. We got a 9.8 CGC graded 9.8 giant size X-Men #1. All right, sold. Bids, right? Let's look at the bids. 55 bids. This is probably legit people right here. 12,000, 12,000, 6,000. Probably this one feedback person is probably a bot or a fake or who knows, and they bid like a billion times. I don't trust those things. Anyways, $12,000 for a 9.8. Now, if you're wondering what a 9.8 normally goes for, let's look up here. Here's a 9.8. The last sold recently in January this month, 48,000. That's basically, if you look at the average across the board, you're looking at about 40. I've seen them as high as like 72. And then I've seen them drop down even lower. You can look at here, a peak of 72,000. That's dropped down. Whatever. That's what they normally go for. So for it to go for 12,000 seems weird. So when I was looking at this, I'm like, okay, let's look at all the factors here. All right, this person has 53 feedback. Good. But then they have this weird name. Nissan, blah, 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 right? What does that normally mean? Who puts a name like that? That's very odd. So we'll check their feedback. They had one feedback in the last 12 months. Doesn't really have much as a seller. A few as a buyer. And about it. So that to me is kind of a red flag, especially this weird name. Normally when people list stuff, they have names. Other things for sale. They sold this Savage She-Hulk #1. It was sold in November. So you'd think they would have feedback as a seller. Feedback as a seller, nothing. So that person who ever bought that Savage She-Hulk didn't leave feedback, or there's something wrong with it. Who knows? So to me, this seems way too low. A quarter of the price. I would love to get this deal. I don't even think you can get a 9.6 or a 9.4 for this. Maybe 9.4. So yeah, and then I did a little bit of digging because I was like, here, let me show people what a 9.8 normally lists for. Okay, you got a 9.8 for 70, you got a 65, you got one for 55. Oh, you got here this one, a $50,000 starting bid. Oh, that is interesting. Very, very, very interesting here. Look at this picture. Notice how it has this weird flash thing going on where everything's all sparkly, just however the person takes the picture. Look at these little gray little holders down here. Oh, that's interesting. It's the exact same picture. It has a corner picture with a serial number of 4 zeros and a 1. Let's look at this one. Oh, a corner picture with 4 zeros and a 1. This person straight up just ripped off this person's, because this person looks legit. Look at this name, D. Holtz Art. That seems like a real screen name, not a bunch of gobbledygook. Anyways, person talking about the book, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So this poor person, someone came and just screenshotted their pictures, threw it up in an auction, and people bid on it. I am so glad that because I was so tempted because it was so cheap, that I am glad that I did not bid on it. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I could get this really cheap. And what if it pans out? Because look how the X-Men Giant 1, perfect grade, collector's item. This person doesn't even know anything about comics. If you have a giant size X-Men #1, 9.8, chances are you know a lot. Unless it was gifted to you from someone that died and you had no idea. But you would most likely do a little research. I don't know. people get their accounts stolen all the time on eBay, and people list randoms. I remember when we first started, we got our account stolen, and all of a sudden we look at our account and there's like old watches. We called eBay immediately, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, you guys got hacked." Blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So this happens all the time. So I'm glad I did not pull the trigger on this, because I was looking at risk reward. I was like, okay, what if it turns out to be fake, right? I get nothing, and I have to go through the hassle. What if it turns out to be real? Then I'm getting technically a $50,000 comic for not that much, because at the time I was looking at it was like $5,000. And I offered just went to 12, and this person is going to have to pay for it and then get screwed over. Let's see, can we report this item? Maybe if we report this person, I don't know which one it is. Listing practices? Fraudulent listing activities? Yeah, okay. Maybe if I report this, okay, maybe the person who bought this will get, because sometimes I've bought things and all of a sudden I get an email, I go to pay for it like maybe the next day or something like that, or later that day, and I go to pay for it and it's like, why is this listing taken down, right? I don't know. And then I'll get an email from eBay. It's like, oh, we suspected suspicious activity, blah, 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 so the listing is taken down. So maybe since I reported this, maybe this listing will get taken down and the person won't have to pay $12,000 and they will be saved the headache of going through all this work. All right. So that's it for that one. All right, moving on to the next one. What do we got next? The Moon Knight trailer. I watched the trailer. I try not to do reactions because my reaction is kind of like, pretty boring. But I watched the trailer. I loved the trailer. The only downside, maybe I can bring up the trailer so we can kind of thumb through it a little bit. Let's see, Moon Knight trailer. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so don't care. All right. So yeah, we got Oscar Isaacs. He's not getting any sleep. Blah blah blah. If I play the thing, it will get copyright. It's super annoying how YouTube is. I can't even like play a video and talk about it without going through all these hoops. Anyways, so he sees some cool stuff. Sees this old lady. I think, where was the old lady that turns into a mummy or something? Like, there it is. Yeah. So he's seeing things. Comes out in March. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looked cool. Ethan Hawke. Where's the part where he turns into Moon Knight? That's all I care about seeing. Yeah, I mean, I have to mute this. There we go. Yeah, so he turns in, beats up this guy. That's cool. And yeah, there he is. There's Moon Knight. Cool. The costume looks great. It looks CG, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited for this. The one thing I hope they don't do, which I think they're going to do, is it's going to take like forever for him to become Moon Knight. And then when he is Moon Knight, we're going to see barely any Moon Knight doing Moon Knight stuff. It's going to be mostly him not being Moon Knight. That's what I don't want to see. I want to see Moon Knight. Like, it's like the CW, right? And that's why I can't stand about the CW. It's like you go in to watch these superheroes do superhero things, and most of the time they're talking about drama that has nothing to do with them being a superhero. You're just like, ugh. So that's why I hope it doesn't happen with this. I want Moon Knight to do Moon Knight stuff. Let's have lots of Moon Knight. Like when you read a comic, it's, you know, mostly about that superhero doing superhero stuff. So I don't want it to be just a lot of fluff because they don't have the budget to do Moon Knight stuff all the time. Then don't, I guess. I mean, I'd say then don't do it, but then we don't get anything at all. So I don't know. It's hard. I know. I understand. So that's why I kind of like animated stuff, because all they have to do is draw it. It's like, oh, we want a new location? Draw. You know, it's like it doesn't cost as much as to move a whole cast and crew to a new location to film this thing or to put in a bunch of CGI, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. It comes out in March, which is awesome. because this is our first real trailer, and it comes out in the end of March, so month and a week, month and a half. That's how it should be. I don't want to see a trailer 2 years in advance, and then I have to wait, and then I forget about it, and then they show me another trailer. It's like, don't hype me up like that. I want to see a trailer, and then I want it to happen, right? Just like the next day. Because back in the day, sure, you couldn't, you needed word of mouth to go around, but everyone has the internet. Everyone that's into this stuff knows what's going on. You don't need a 6-month, year-long runway of time to get the word of mouth going. Just release the trailer. Everyone knows about this. No one's going to be literally under a rock and not know that Moon Knight's coming out. People, no, they know. Maybe not the exact date, but they know. They'll have their Disney Plus ready to go. Yeah. So excited, as long as they can do it right. Also, it's on Disney Plus. I'm sure you guys know how I feel about Disney Plus, because we're going to get right into it in a segue right here. Why I can't stand PG-13. We got the Batman. First of all, Batman has an enormously long runtime, apparently. Also, it was rated PG-13. Now, did I think that Batman was ever going to be rated R? No, I did not. But people were like, oh my gosh, it should be rated R because the Joker is rated R. It's supposed to be, this Batman is supposed to be the darkest of all Batmans. I don't know about that. But anyways, yeah, apparently it's 3 hours long. And there's apparently a 4-hour long version of this movie as well. So 3 hours long, 2 hours and 55 minutes to be exact, and 8 minutes of credits. Okay, so it's over 3 hours long. That's a 3 hour long movie. Jeez, wasn't The Dark Knight Rises that long too? Dark Knight Rises, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Oh my gosh, 10 more minutes longer. I remember this Dark Knight Rises was really, really long. The Dark Knight. How long was this, The Dark Knight? 2 hours and 32 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so it's 10 minutes longer than Rises. The problem with, I love The Dark Knight, and that was 10 minutes less than Rises. And never felt like it was dragging. To me personally, Dark Knight Rises, this drug on, and I don't think it was very good, to be honest. It was good, but compared to The Dark Knight with the Joker, who cares? It's 2 hours and 55 minutes. If it's good, people are going to sit through it. What's Justice League? Justice League is really long too. Let's see. Zack Snyder's Justice League is 4 hours long. And then Justice League is 2 hours long. Dang, they cut this movie in half. I don't know. They both felt draggy to me. Yeah. So, but let's get into what I'm complaining about. What is this? I don't care about this article. Who cares? Basically, all PG-13. This is why I have a problem with it. I just really don't like PG-13 at all. I think it hinders creators, directors, writers, producers, actors, all the people involved in the filmmaking, because they are trying to cater to a small group of people so they can get the most money, which I understand from a business sense, right? But I don't like it as an artist sense. I think it just hinders people, and they try to put themselves in a box just so they can make a little bit more money, and then I think it hurts the film. I think back in the day, there was only PG. That's as high as it went, I believe. And was it Gremlins that people got upset because they took their kids to see Gremlins and they're getting all cut up and bloody and stuff like that? And so people, see, why is there PG-13? I think they created PG-13. Yeah, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. Okay, when they ripped out his heart. It was a Steven Spielberg movie. I was close. 84. Yeah, Temple of Doom. It was created to bridge the gap between PG and R. That's what I was. So there was R back then. But yeah, back then, sure. Now, kids have a phone with the internet on it 24/7, 365. They can look at the weirdest, gross stuff all day long, anytime they want. There's nothing that they're going to go to a movie and see and go, oh my gosh, that's brand new to me. Never seen anything like that. They have the phone. They have the internet. They go to school. If you're, say your kid's like 13 and doesn't have a phone or doesn't have the internet, which would be weird not to have the internet at least at home or something. They don't have any sort of, but even you have streaming services and then you can watch any type of movie you want there and weird stuff. I guess if you have parental controls there, like if you're a really sheltered kid, I was a super sheltered kid. And as soon as you go to school, you're no longer sheltered because your friends will show you all the weirdest stuff all the time. I was pretty sheltered. So I just feel like it's not needed anymore. There's no point. You can see actual people getting killed. You can see any type of sexual thing you want on the internet. There's nothing you can't see. There's stuff on YouTube that is worse than some of this stuff on here, right? I think you can, on YouTube, you can say whatever you want. So it's like, understand that this is graphic material. Click yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm not going to see it. No, you click OK. So I don't think PG-13 is needed. I think all it does is hinder things. And for example, I don't want to watch a Spider-Man movie where he's banging Mary Jane. No. I don't want, where there's flashing boobs and he's saying a bunch of F-bombs all the time. I don't want that. But I do want, because that's not who Spider-Man is. Doesn't fit, right? But I do want when he's, spoiler alert for the new movie, I'm giving you time. All right. When he's beating the crap out of Green Goblin at the end of the newest movie, William Dafoe, it's like he's punching him nonstop. And you look at William Dafoe's face and it's like, oh, it's a little red and a little bit of bruising, maybe like a little blood dripping down here. And it's like, it takes away from the impact of how strong Spider-Man is and how angry he is and how beat up he's going to, destroy the Green Goblin for, everything he's done. And so for killing, Aunt May. And when he's just pounding his face and then the camera turns and shows William Dafoe after all these punches, and I'm like, that's all he did? Looks like, he just, like if he just slapped him around. Like it took me out of the movie. It took me out because I knew if it was rated R, you could show like maybe his skull kind of crushed in, like this teeth missing, blood just everywhere, bloody nose. You're getting punched in the face by Spider-Man. Come on, you have to have a bloody nose at least, right? I mean, you can get a bloody nose just by flicking your nose, it seems like. So I don't care how strong his skin is or his durability, the Green Goblin, he's still going to get a bloody nose. So you can't even show that stuff. Can't because it's PG-13. You can't take it to the next level, the level it needs to be. I'm not saying that it literally needs to be him like chopping his head off and ripping and wearing like a Green Goblin suit and this blood and guts dripping from him. No, I'm not saying that doesn't fit. But it's like, that's the kind of stuff I hate. I just hate it. I hate it. You pigeonhole the creators and artists into this small box because they have to play by the rules in order to get the most money. And it's super annoying. They did the same thing with Venom. It's like Carnage is going to eat someone. Oh, let's pan away. Pan the camera. And it's just like, that hurts the movie. Hurts the effect of the character. When it's like, I mean, you don't have to show all this blood and guts and everything flying all over the place, right? You don't have to have like Carnage banging Shriek or whatever it is. Sheik. No, Sheik is the Zelda character. Shriek. Yeah, I'm getting confused. Yeah, you don't have to show that. It's just like, yeah, that's the stuff that bugs me. I can't stand PG-13. I just can't. I'm not saying everything. Like, this should be for kids, for adults. You make up the mind as a parent. If you think your kid at 13. I mean, I remember my parents got divorced. When I was growing up, I was not allowed to watch anything PG-13 and above. If it was after I was already old enough to watch it, I would have to, like, if I was at a friend's house or something, my parents would want me to call and they would say, I haven't seen it yet, so therefore you can't watch it, like, because they don't know what's on it. Right? That's how I pretty much grew up. And then when my parents got divorced, my dad was finally like, oh, awesome, now I can show you all these cool movies. So we watched like Rambo, RoboCop, Terminator, all this stuff, and I think I turned out pretty fine. So I just can't stand PG-13. I think it just takes away from a movie. Like, I'm not saying like if Avengers, Avengers 1 went from PG-13 to R, like there's much that would need to be changed. No, like you could still just call it a light rated R. Like it doesn't need to be, but if they needed a scene or something to go that extra mile, they'd have the ability to. All right, enough ranting about that. Moving on. Next, we got some rumor news, which I think the only reason I'm talking about rumor news is there's a bazillion, billions of rumors all over the place, forever. The only reason I'm talking about this because I think it will happen. And what do I mean I think it happened? There's lots of rumors I think that will happen, but I'm pretty sure that it has happened. Like, it is a thing. Like, I wouldn't be talking about this unless I'm, like, 99% sure. Right? So I'll leave a little room for 1%. But 99% sure. Anyways, the rumor is that Jim from The Office, where's his name? Krasinski. There we go. John Krasinski. This guy right here, Jim from The Office, has filmed a couple scenes in Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness. And everyone's speculating that he's going to be part of the Illuminati, which he's going to be Reed Richards in Doctor Strange 2, which would segue into the Fantastic Four, which has already been confirmed. Fantastic Four movie has been confirmed from the MCU. So we know we are getting one. Now, John Krasinski, he has been petitioned by fans forever to be Reed Richards. I mean, pretty much since the inception of the MCU. That's a joke, but not as long as Todd McFarlane's script for Spawn that he's been working on. So not that long, but a very, very long time. And people have been wanting, and there's been like fan-made pictures. I think this is a fan-made picture, obviously. And yeah, I like Jim from The Office. And he's also a good director. He directed Quiet Place, and I think he wrote it. He directed Quiet Place 1 and 2, and I think he wrote them too. Those are great movies. He's a very talented actor. He can do comedy, which is what you need in the MCU. He can play serious. He sure looks the part, and that'd be interesting because he's married to Emily Blunt in real life. If Emily Blunt played Sue Storm, Invisible Girl, that would be kind of cool because then you have like a real life on-couple screen. And I like Emily Blunt. One of a very underrated movie is that movie she did with Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow. Very great movie. Love that movie. But yeah, so I think this is something that's probably most likely, definitely is happening. That's the only reason I bring it up. I'm pretty excited for it. So yeah, that's about all I want to say for this. And now we got the last one on this thing, the death of the Justice League. This will start with issue 75, or end with issue 75. Is going to be the last issue. Apparently, after Justice League 75, it's going to be done. The Justice League are going to be dead. And let's see if I can find a cooler picture. Oh, they all look the same. Do I have literally two opened up? Oh. Anyways, yeah, so it's going to be the end of the Justice League with number 75. And I remember a couple people in the comments were like talking about it. That's how you guys brought it to my attention. They do this stuff all the time. Someone's dying, dead. I mean, they killed Superman when I grew up with comics, and it was much bigger. This won't be anything close to what the death of Superman was. That was at the perfect height of the comic boom in the 90s. And I remember watching this video. It's on YouTube. This lady's like, she goes into the comic shop, and it's like, I don't know, ABC News, Fox News, who knows what it is. And they're interviewing people, and they're like, oh, so do you read Superman comics? She's like, no, this is going to be my kid's college fund. And she grabs like 5 copies of The Death of Superman. I don't know what the Death of Superman goes for now, like $50 to $100. I remember I got like recently, like within the last year or two, I got like 50 copies of them, sold them for like $5 to $10 a piece. Yeah, they're not. That's funny. It's only valuable because supply and demand. It's got to be rare and it's got to be in demand. When there's a lot of them, even if it's in demand, won't be valuable. So they're killing off all the main superheroes for the most part, and they're going to replace them all. So you got Superman's son is going to be Superman. You got Lucius Fox's son. I believe it's his son. He's playing Batman. Isn't that Mira? I believe. I haven't the slightest idea who this Green Lantern is. I don't know. Then you have this person who's taking over as Wonder Woman. All this kind of stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, that's what they're assuming is going to happen, is these people are going to be taking over. But then I watched a video by Ethan Van Sciver. Now, if you don't know who he is a comic book artist. Mostly, I would say most of his work, his well-known work, is probably the early 2000s. I've had a couple of his, I still do have a couple of his original pieces. Most of the late 90s, early 2000s is probably like, I guess it's like his most prominent time in the industry. He's gone off and done his own thing, and he's not part of it anymore. He has a YouTube channel. It's pretty cool. He gives some like insight into what's it's actually like working there, and how much artists can actually make, and how you make money, and all this kind of stuff. He breaks down like the money stuff. He also gets into more like political stuff that I don't really care about. But he brought up some interesting points about this. So a lot of times people are blaming the woke mob is destroying it. Well, it might be maybe true. Some of these writers and artists are like woke SJWs, and so they're influencing these comics. A lot of times it has to do with one thing, that everything has to do with money. So he brought up a point that, so this guy here, right here, this guy, his name is Daniel Cherry II. This is Jim Lee. Daniel Cherry II is the general manager. Now, he was brought on, this article is from 2021, August. He was brought on a year before that. It says somewhere in the article. I don't know where it is. He's brought on a year before that. Almost a year ago, the publishing unit behind Superman blah, blah, blah was a hit, brutal cut, saw 1/3 of the company's ranks wiped off due to layoffs and stuff like that. All right. This guy was basically brought on to make these layoffs and all this kind of stuff, make it more seamless. He's basically come here because you know what he did before? He worked at Activision, right? Was it Activision? Yeah, former Activision esports executive. He doesn't know anything about comics. He doesn't care about it. Taking on the business aspects of the company. He was hired in September, so a year from this article, because article was in August, so a year ago, taking on the business of the publishing initiative, blah, 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 blah. His whole esports executive, he's not a comic person, right? It's not like Jim Lee, right? Jim Lee's worked in the industry, obviously huge into the comic stuff. So he was in here to basically make this company more appealing, right, for investors and stuff like that. Because what happened just roughly 6 months or so after this, 8 months after this, AT&T and Disney, or Discovery, announced their merger, right? Discovery is buying Warner Media. AT&T bought it from, I can't remember who. They bought it, and then they sold it to, and they failed. And AT&T owns Warner Media, which owns DC Comics, owns everything, right? Anything that has to do with Warner Brothers. So DC Comics is in there, Bugs Bunny is in there, CNN is in there, all sorts of stuff, tons and tons of stuff in there for $43 billion. So what Ethan Van Sciver was saying is this guy this Daniel Cherry 3, is not a comic person. He was in there to make cuts, to make that it looks like a better company money-wise. So then when it went to the parent company, right, I'm sure all the divisions did that. And so then AT&T, Warner Media, whatever it's called, could then bring it to Discovery and go, hey, look, all of these companies, all these little sub companies we have under the main company is doing fantastic. Like, we're cutting, we're making it more enticing and all this kind of stuff. So that's why he's brought on. And what do you know? After the merger, he is leaving DC Comics for Kanye West. Oh, big surprise, right? He literally came in and did what he needed to do for a year because he's not a comic person. He's not there to like, here, let me grow this company. These are the good characters you want. Let's make this character this, make that, all this kind of stuff. So he brought in and he made all these random characters like Jonathan Kent more important and, all these other random characters. And people are like, oh, it's a woke thing. It could be. You don't want to, Ethan Van Sciver said, it's not necessarily a woke thing. It's actually a money thing because you have to pay royalties to the original creators and of the characters. So anytime you put Superman up there, you have to pay the families of Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, right? Or Bob Kane and Bill Finger for Batman, all that kind of stuff. Like, if you create a villain or anything like that, you have to pay the person that created the villain, so on and so forth. But what ends up happening is you create these characters, right, which are called derivative characters. And what Ethan was saying is when you create a derivative character, like this Batman, Green Lantern, like all this, right, whoever created this Jonathan Kent character, they don't get any royalties because he's basically a copy of Superman. So you don't have to pay any royalties because it's a derivative. It doesn't count. Like, you can't just create the exact same character and claim it as your own and change a few things. He's Superman. So you don't pay royalties to whoever created Jonathan Kent. But then you also don't have to pay royalties to the person that created Superman. The families of Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, because it's technically not Superman. So there's like this gray area loophole, so you don't have to pay royalties on both. So that is a way to cut down on costs. And that's what he's saying was happening. So like Batman, this, whatever his name is, Lucius Fox's son, you don't have to pay royalties on this character, and you don't have to pay royalties on Batman. You don't have to pay royalties on anything. There's like loopholes. So they get around these loopholes, and there you go. And that's why they do stuff like this. They'll kill them off, maybe boost some sales. And another reason why they do this stuff is because when they come out with Justice League 75, right? And Comic Tom was telling me all about this, is they will release a bazillion variant covers. And people like Comic Tom or comic stores or whatever, if you want your own variant, you have to pay all this money to DC to create these variants. So then DC gets this huge influx of money because, hey, this is going to be a big main event. So then everyone needs their variant covers. And you can't have a variant cover of every single comic out there. You can't just, like, I can't just call up DC and be like, hey, I've done variants with you before. I want to do a variant on this random comic. Like, no, they usually section off this cover or this comic is okay to do a variant on, like maybe Justice League 74. Nope, can't do any variants on that one. But 75, it's going to be a big event, so we'll let you do variants. So boom, they get a massive influx of money due to that because it's going to be a big, huge thing. There's going to be thousands and thousands of variants, and they get, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, $10,000 to $15,000 roughly every time someone wants to do a variant. So if you have 10 different variants, you do the math. $150,000 extra dollars that DC gets because of that. So, yep. So that's just kind of interesting. So it's I don't think it's really a woke thing. I mean, there's probably some of that in there, but it's more of a money thing. And don't worry, these characters will all be back eventually because this is what's going to happen. Someone's going to come in and write this new Justice League with these kids in it. And the sales will slump for like a year, and eventually they'll bring them back, all the original characters. How they're going to die somewhere. They'll probably be in like the Phantom Zone, Negative Zone, whatever zone they're going to be in. And they'll be brought all back. And then everyone will be, oh, now we got to make more variants of those. The return of Superman and Batman and all this kind of stuff. We'll all start all over with number ones, just like the new 52. Got to start with number one all over again. Number one Justice League, number one Batman, number one Superman, all this kind of stuff. They're going to be slightly different. So because we changed their origins just slightly, because why? Because their origin stories end up falling into public domain. So you have to create something new about them. That's another reason why. A lot of these things fall into public domain, and what that means is me, you, anyone down the street can use that and sell product using that. What was it? I think it was The Wizard of Oz by MGM. They didn't create that story, but they did create the ruby red slippers, and that's why they're such a prominent feature in there. So they owned the copyright for that. So you can't create a Wizard of Oz story with the ruby red slippers. It might be in public domain now, but you couldn't. If you use that, you get sued by MGM because they own the rights to Dorothy having the ruby red slippers, but they don't own the rights to Dorothy because that's in public domain. So that's why they create new origins, new things, new backstories, new characters, all this kind of stuff, because the other characters fall in the public domain and anyone can use them and they can't sue people for using them. So it all comes down to money. And yeah. All right, well, that's it for this What's Going On Monday. I hope you like this kind of stuff and have a good day.